Hey everyone, my name is Wes, and welcome back to another episode of Terror Talk where I discuss creepy clips online. I created this original horror music to add to the video, and I hope you enjoy it. Be sure to leave your own comments, and when you're done watching, check the description if you'd like to listen to my music without the commentary. Now let's get into it and have some fun.
I was home alone one night for a reason I don't remember. All I remember is my entire family was gone. I was 15 or 16 years old. I was a big gamer at the time. I was obsessed with StarCraft, and admittedly, I'd sometimes spend a weekend night or two playing StarCraft or some other PC game. This was right before COVID lockdown started. I was playing StarCraft on my computer in my bedroom on the first floor. That's when the doorbell rang, twice.
Are you into gaming? Let me know in the comments below. For me, I'm not really into gaming all that much. I actually have an old Sega Genesis console that I play from time to time. And I actually do have a creepy story about the Sega Genesis. One evening, I didn't touch that thing all day long, and this is actually a console that you have to switch on and off with your fingers. But one evening, I hadn't touched that thing all day. I noticed it was on, and I was like, what the hell? That's strange. But I thought that was really spooky because it got me thinking for a second. I have had strange experiences happen in my house from time to time. I'm not kidding. And I think that there are spirits among us, but that was just a side story that I thought I'd share. But do you have any creepy stories like that regarding to video games or just anything in general with electronics like that? And also let me know in the comments below if you do play video games, but I am definitely more of a TV and movie person, so yeah.
I hurried to the door, not wanting to be away from the game for too long in fear of losing. I got to the front door and said, "Who is it?" as I always would if I was alone. A soft and weak voice on the other side said something that I couldn't hear. It sounded like a woman. I opened the door, with the storm door still separating me and this older woman standing on the other side, with a big smile on her face. She had her hands behind her back. I said through the door, "Can I help you?" She said she needed to use a phone, and asked if she could come inside. Ever since I was a little kid, I was always taught not to let a stranger into the house, ever. That included women. I felt so awkward though, I didn't know how to turn her away. I redirected her to the library a few blocks down, because they'd surely have a phone. Deep down, I knew the library was closed at this point, but I was just trying to get the stranger who was trying to get into my house to leave. She was still smiling, but what she said next did not match her smile. She said, "That's very rude to turn away an old lady asking for help." I replied the only way I could think to, and that was that my parents don't allow strangers into the house. It's a house rule. I slowly started.
This is a really smart kid, by the way, because I feel like a lot of kids like this, 15, 16, they would be inclined to help an old lady out. And in situations like this, unfortunately, they use old ladies or just ladies in general as bait for the younger kids because, it's a lady, it's an old lady, what are they gonna do? But a lot of the time, they are a part of a grander, more sinister scheme.
Closing the door as I was saying sorry, and she just stood there, not moving, but still smiling at me. And though her smile never changed, it suddenly felt much more menacing. I was walking back to my room.
And just an off note, it is so creepy when they just keep smiling like that, right? It is just so creepy, stop smiling, it's just so weird and creepy.
When the doorbell rang again, there was no way in hell I was opening the door again. That woman radiated weird vibes from the start. Maybe something was wrong with her, maybe she wasn't all there. These were things I had no way of knowing, and maybe that was selfish of me to send her on her way. But I just wasn't opening the door for anyone when I was home alone. I went back to my game. Not too long after I sat back down, I heard something tapping on the window. It was a clinking type sound from something metal. The window was directly in front of my desk. I had the blind pulled down so I couldn't see what was making the noise. but I already had an idea. My room was the only room with a light on in the house. The horrible thought that it was the old woman from just before, and that she walked over to my window, terrified me. I turned off the sound on my computer. At this point, I didn't care about my game anymore. The clinking sound on the window persisted. I basically said, "Fuck this," and up and left to a different room in the house. I sat in the darkness of the living room for a bit, when the doorbell rang again. This woman was harassing me now. I tried to convince myself she wasn't a threat, just some crazy old woman who's probably clueless as to where she is. When she rang the doorbell a second and third time, I decided to go open the door and ask her if there's someone I could call for her. But when I opened the door, there was now a man on the other side. He looked to be about 10 years younger than her. He said through the storm door, "Have you seen my mother?" I replied saying yes, she came to my door just before. He then apologized to me and said she has dementia and got out of the house. I suddenly felt bad, but he asked me if he could come in for a minute, and again I felt awkward. Why did he need to come inside? I said the same thing that I told to the woman who we claimed to be his mother. I said we could just talk through this door.
Yeah, see, something is not right about this situation. Now a guy comes looking for his mom. I mean, I hope most people will be smart in this situation to not open the door, because it's all just screaming red flags.
I then said that I think she went into my backyard because I heard something out my window. I told him he could go around back and check. He thanked me and walked down the walkway, and I thought he went into the backyard. But when I went to the back and looked out the back window expecting to see him searching around, I saw nobody. Not him or his mom. This was all too weird for me. I went to bed on the earlier side that night, just falling asleep with the TV on in the background, until I heard the clinking sound on the window again. Something metal was tapping on the glass. I remembered the concerned man, and I decided to try and help. I went to the window, lifted the blind up with my hand, and I saw that woman outside my window, with that same creepy smile. She was tapping a kitchen knife on my window. I closed the blind and crawled.
Oh my god, that just gives me chills. Doesn't it give you chills? I think I would about shit myself if I opened the blinds and a old lady with a creepy smile was tapping on the window like that with a knife. Holy shit, that would just be one of the creepiest, most terrifying things you could ever see. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm being a bit dramatic, but I think that is just about one of the creepiest, terrifying things that I could ever witness personally.
Back into my bed. This didn't feel like it was actually happening. A suspiciously short amount of time later, the doorbell rang like 4 times. The clinking on the window stopped by this point. This was all too suspicious. It felt like some kind of robbery attempt. I ignored the doorbell. I stayed in my bed. I was gonna wait this out. I didn't have a cell phone at this time. I wasn't the most social guy growing up. I also didn't want to call the police for some reason. I waited this all out until it finally stopped. The next morning, I told my dad what happened when I called him. He told me I was smart not to open the door. Everyone agreed that everything about it sounded like an attempted robbery. Is there a chance that maybe that woman really did have dementia and that the man was really her concerned son? Maybe, but it all seemed too coordinated. Why did he want to come into the house too? How did he even know she came to my house specifically? Why didn't he ever go into the backyard to look for her when I gave him permission to do so? Too many unanswered questions that lead me to believe I avoided something terrible happening if I opened that door.
Yeah, so I thought that the kid was very smart to not open the door, but I will say again that I just thought that this was one of the creepiest stories actually on Mr. Nightmare's channel, because that would just be so terrifying to see an old lady tapping a kitchen knife against your window like that. And for him to say that it was his mom with dementia, that doesn't make any sense. Because why would she have a kitchen knife and be tapping on the glass? I mean, unless she's certifiably insane. but I don't know, it definitely sounded like a robbery attempt, so he was very smart not to open the door. But yeah, I thought this was actually one of the creepiest videos on Mr. Nightmare's channel. And I hope you enjoyed my commentary and the music, and I will see you in the next video.